Hello and welcome to this week's build guide. Today we're checking out a Mesmer build that's designed to rip boons off the enemy. Now this build design is pretty much a direct counter to those bunker guardians and bunker elementalists that a lot of people have been having problems with. Now those bunker builds, they work by locking down a point and giving themselves a huge number of boons while they're doing it. They have a lot of boon duration to back those boons up as well. They got a lot of stability, regeneration, vigor. This all makes them really hard to defeat in combat. Now, this Mesmer build designs to strip those boons from the enemy. It's going to rip them off them really quickly. It can do this in team fights against multiple opponents pretty damn effectively. The weaknesses of this build are that if you find yourself in a 1v2 situation where you've taken on two opponents, you are going to struggle. You've not really got a huge amount of ways to escape that kind of situation. You haven't got a lot of damage mitigation, and you're probably going to get focused down pretty damn quickly unless you turn tail and run very fast. The upside to it is, though, it's great in team fights and it's pretty solid in 1v1, and you can do a pretty good job of basically getting into combat with an elementalist that's bunkering down, say, a central node, ripping all the boons from them, making them waste all their utility skills, and your teammates turn up and just quickly wipe them out. Now, what we've got for this weapon sets are a sword and pistol in the first weapon set. This gives us our first boon ripping skill, which is Mind Stab. It's the third attack on the sword, and it will hit multiple opponents and rip boons from them. The second skill we've got is Blurred Frenzy. This blurs us for 2 seconds, meaning we evade all attacks and dishes out a reasonable amount of damage. It can be used in 2 ways, either to mitigate damage or to attack the enemy. Illusionary Leap is a gap closer. It immobilises and cripples the enemy, and it also creates an illusion. Phantasmal Duelist again creates another illusion, this time a phantasm. Dishes out a reasonable amount of damage and it's on a pretty short cooldown, and then we get Magic Bullet there as well, which is basically your ranged interrupt for stopping stomps and that kind of thing. Over in our second weapon set, we've got the Greatsword. Now, this gives us a ranged attack that deals more damage the further you are from the enemy, and it hits multiple times, so it's going to hit quite often. Mirror Blade as well, which gives us some might duration, getting that uptime, and then we get Mind Stab. This is again another boon ripping skill. It can hit multiple opponents and will rip 1 boon from them. Phantasmal Berserker, this creates a phantasm that uses a whirling attack to damage and cripple the foes, again on a pretty short cooldown, and then we get Illusionary Wave as well. It pushes back everyone in front of you, and it's a pretty far knockback of 450. So for our heal, we've gone with Ether Feast. This gives you actually a couple options. You've got Ether Feast and you've also got Mirror. Now Mirror is basically weaker as far as the heal goes, but it does grant you Reflection for 2 seconds, and you also get a shorter cooldown, whereas Ether Feast is going to give you more healing, and it'll give you even more healing if you've got a lot of illusions up. However, this is essentially a shatter build. We'll get into that more when we look at the traits, but you're going to be shattering your illusions quite regularly. So you're not actually going to have a lot of illusions up very often, which means you're not really going to be getting the most out of your heal. So it depends on where you want to go with that. For our utility skills, we've got Phantasmal Disenchanter and Nullfield. So these skills are pretty much identical, just different ways of doing it. Both of them are going to rip boons from the enemy. They're also going to cure conditions on your teammates, so as an added bonus, we've also got some really strong condition removal now in the build. Now, Phantasmal Disenchanter. This summons up an illusion. It's a phantasm. It's got a reasonable amount of HP, but the enemy can kill it, so that can go down. And if you shatter your skills, it will shatter the Disenchanter as well. So that's the problem with that one. But it's worth having it in here because it's on such a short cooldown, only 16 seconds, and it is going to do the job pretty effectively. Nullfield is an AoE field on the ground. It's targeted, it's got a huge range on it, so you can plant it on the field from afar. It's going to cover an entire node of anyone that's set for the Legacy of the Foe central point. It's really effective. It lasts for 7 seconds, and it's a combo field, and it's absolutely brilliant for this sort of role. Now, our final utility skill, we've gone with the Portal. Now, Portal is a fantastically powerful skill. It's hugely effective, but only if you have the teammates that know how to use it and how to utilise it. So if you're playing as part of a team, definitely run with Portal. If you're not, if you're playing just an SPVP and you don't think your people you're going to be playing with are really going to take much advantage of portals, go with something else. Now, what I would recommend going with is something like Blink or Decoy, some sort of skill that's actually going to get you out of trouble if you're getting focused by the enemy. If you're getting focused, say in these 2v1 situations like I mentioned before, where you will go down pretty hard if you ain't got really any escape, this is going to help you escape, taking some skill there. So it just depends on what you want to do. Another viable skill is possibly the Illusion of Life as well. It's got a pretty harsh cooldown on it, but it does give you some pretty good team support. Now, the elite skill is Time Warp. This skill is so powerful. It's an AoE field on the ground that's massive. It's going to give quickness to everyone within that AoE field. It's also a combo field. So quickness just to your teammates, not to the enemy, just bear that in mind. So basically this is a fight turner. If you turn up at a fight and drop this, your teammates are going to be wiping out the enemy so quickly. Especially if you've got things like High Burst Thieves or High Burst Warriors, people like that as your roamers, they're going to take huge advantage of Time Warp and dish out some massive damage. The other option is Mower Morph. So Mower Morph was really popular a while ago. There's only a 30-second difference in the cooldown, so don't worry too much about that. Time Warp's going to give you more support in your team fights, and I personally think this is a much better option. Mower Morph will help in those fights where you are being focused by two players, because you can morph someone into a mower and then you can run there and get the hell out of there. So that's really the only real option for that, really. Mower Morph, for general what this build is doing, you don't really need it. It's only in those 2v1 situations, if you're being focused, it can give you a way to get out of dodge, which really I don't think is worth it. I would definitely recommend Time Warp as going for the main skill for this build. So for our rune choices, we've gone with Superior Runes of Earth. These are giving us toughness and basically protection uptime. It also gives us Magnetic Aura for 5 seconds when we reach 20% HP. Now the main reason for going for this is we needed a bit more survivability. It was a bit too squishy without it. You can go with something else. If you find yourself wanting something else, definitely go for it. If you want to go more offensive, for example, the Runes of the Ogre would work great. However, taking that extra bit of toughness does make you have a little bit more survivability. You're also going to get a bit of protection uptime out of it as well. You've got 25% chance to trigger protection for 3 seconds when you're hit, so that's going to help out a little bit in combat. It's got a 30-second cooldown, and Magnetic Aura makes you pretty much immune to incoming ranged attacks for 5 seconds when you hit 20% HP. That's on a 90-second cooldown, so a fairly reasonable rune choice, but if you prefer something else, certainly go for it. The same pretty much goes for our sigils. We've gone with Superior Sigil of Battle in the sword, and then Superior Sigil of Fire in both the other two, in the pistol and the greatsword. This is basically going to give us a bit more AoE damage from the fire, and we're going to get some more might uptime, but pretty much these can be whatever you want. Now if you want to focus even more on boon stripping, there are sigils which will actually help you to do that, or you can also put ones on to help you remove conditions, so it depends on what you want. We've got a reasonable amount of crit rate, so don't have to worry too much about going for on crit sigils. You can certainly take them on. But yeah, these have a 60% chance to remove a boon when you hit crit on the enemy, and they have a 10-second cooldown, I do believe, between attacks. So that's going to give you even more boon removal. So if you want to go for that, certainly do. Now for the amulet, we've gone with a Knight's Amulet with a Valkyrie's Jewel. So this is giving us power, precision and vitality from the amulet, and then the jewel is going to focus more on power, a bit more toughness, so we're going to get a bit of toughness in there as well, which we were lacking before, some critical damage as well as a little bit of healing. So that's going to get us up to 25% critical damage. 43% crit rate, a pretty high amount of damage, and also some fairly reasonable armor. It's not as high as we want, but the HP makes up for it a little bit. So for our traits, we've gone 20, 20, 0, 0, 30. 20 points in domination gives us two pretty useless minor traits, but then we get 20% more damage with Mind Rack, and we also remove boons when we shatter our illusions. So this is the final part in our boon removal puzzle. We've got the two utility skills, which can strip a lot. We've also got our weapon skills, which can strip a single boon at a single time on multiple opponents. And now our shatters are also going to remove boons from the enemy. A huge amount of boon removal. Really, really effective at it. You can see how the whole build's coming together. And now we just need to boost up the amount of illusions we have to shatter. So we've got a few. We've got our phantasms and a couple clones coming in from our weapon skills. But we can boost it up a little bit more. And to do that, we've taken these points in dueling. The first one giving us 5 seconds of vigour when we deliver a critical hit on a 5-second cooldown, so that's going to give us pretty much constant vigour as we've got such a high crit rate. To back that up, we've also gone with this one here, which creates a clone at your position whenever you dodge, giving us more illusions, giving us more things to shatter, meaning more boon removal. To back it up as well, we've also got an increase in our precision when we're wielding a one-handed sword, and we've also got a reduced amount of reduced cooldowns on that as well, which is going to help out. You can pick a different trait there if there's something you prefer, and illusions inflict bleeding on critical hits. Now 30 points in the illusion line, this is going to reduce the cooldown of all our shatters, which is definitely important. We're also getting illusion summoning skills recharge 20% faster, meaning more illusions, meaning more shatters, meaning more boon removal. We've also got all shatter skills inflict confusion, and shattering illusion grants you 1 stack of might. Now the other ones we've got 10% higher crit chance of Mind Rack, so you can see both these skills, these traits here, are boosting up this Mind Rack, so we're going to dish out quite a bit of damage with that now. Phantasm skills recharge 20% faster, pretty much doing the same thing as reducing the cooldown of all these illusion summoning skills, and it's going to work out quite well in our favour. It means more phantasms, more illusions, more shatters, more phantasmal disenchanter, all that kind of thing. And then the last one we've gone with shattering illusions creates a shatter effect on you as well. So that means if you're actually in melee range of the enemy when you shatter your illusions, you're going to get 4 boons removed from them at once. Really, really useful. It's also going to apply the effect as well. Now the other use of this on top of that is it means that you can actually shatter illusions without having any illusions up. So if you are ganked and caught out of place or something like that, you can trigger distortion, giving yourself 1 second when you can evade any attacks, which can be pretty damn important if you are at a clutch moment. That can really help you out. So we've got a little bit of gameplay now. So quickly we're going to show you how this build does rip the boons off of a bunker elementalist. That's what we're fighting against here. You can see he's buffed himself up fairly effectively. He's come back on the node and we lay down Nullfield. You can see it slowly removing some of the boons from him here and there. We summon up the Disenchanter and now you can see his boons are ripped off him, even completely gone. He summoned up a couple more. He's got some regeneration there ticking over. We're able to deal with that though using our number 1 skill on our sword. Using our pistol now to daze him. And we're easily dealing with all these boons. As he reapplies them, he's reapplied another bunch of them back onto himself. Now we need to build up some more illusions to manage to remove them from him, and it's all easily dealt with. Rather than having an elementalist who has constant boon uptime of all his boons like you normally fighting, he's having a couple seconds at best from each of his abilities. All his cantrips are going to be on cooldown soon. He's going to have nothing else he can really use to survive. We start getting focus here. There's actually a thief on top of the gate who's focusing down on us using pistols, doing some pretty heavy damage. This is our problem, like I said, about this build. Can't take a lot of focus. We bring down the elementalists and dispatch them quite quickly, but we're getting pressured too hard and we can't support our teammate. We drop a quick Nullfield on that warrior, trying to remove any boons he might put on himself and give our teammate some condition removal, but we do go down to that thief. But yeah, that just showed you quickly how efficiently this removes the boons from an elementalist and how quickly you can strip all those cantrips away from them and make them near enough useless. So this next clip is again going to show you a little bit of boon stripping, and it's also a 2v1 against us to begin with, and how we deal with it. It's not the best way, obviously, like I said, it's very difficult to deal with those 2v1s, but we do deal with it in this case. So we strip the boons off this warrior incredibly quickly, all 4 boons being torn off from them, making him much less powerful than he would have been, and much easier to deal with. We force him over, knock back, applying a little bit of pressure to his teammate as well. We haven't got a huge amount of AoE, so we're going to have a challenge here on our hands. We lay down our elite skill, we popped all of our illusions onto the warrior there, dealing a bit of damage. Again, we're burning off all our illusions, again shattering them into him, causing some serious problems. We popped all our shatters then, and like I said, it shatters on us, so we mitigated some of the damage as well as causing dazes and stuff as well. We bring down the warrior nice and efficiently. So that was mainly down to using the elite skill there. It's definitely generally better to save it for those team fights, but it can be used in a situation like this to give yourself that little bit of advantage in those 2v1s. Not as powerful as more for a 2v1, but still fairly effective. That engineer we didn't manage to actually rip any boons off of. We did go for a mind stab on him, which would have gotten rid of one of the boons. Unfortunately, we missed it, which wasn't the best play at all, but he goes down nice and quickly to support from our teammate, the thief. So this next clip is going to show a little bit of a team fight, a little bit of boon removal, and mainly the use of time warp to effectively change a fight around. So this thief's getting focused down very quickly over there, no problem at all, but 2 players come in behind my teammates. I see them, they don't. We start getting focused. I fall back a little bit, dodging out the way of that dragon's tooth, dropping a Nullfield into the area, giving my teammates some condition removal as well as ripping boons from that necromancer that's being focused. Drop our elite skill, giving our teammates some serious extra damage, making a massive difference to the damage that warrior was outputting. The necromancer's being made useless. All his conditions were getting ripped off. He goes down quickly and we finish him off. A very quick change around of that fight, very quick dispatch of 2 players very effectively. This player was forced back, you can see him running away down here, and we can now quickly help our teammate to finish them off. So I hope you all enjoy this episode, and I hope you all enjoy the build. Leave us a comment below to let us know what you thought of it, and what you think it could be improved, if there's any way you can think we can make it a bit stronger. Thank you all very much, and we'll see you all soon.